All right, so we are going to dissect Lil Baby's new album. It's Only Me. Dissects, I feel like people are expecting the Kendrick treatment every time now. Like the devil is. But no, this, like we're just being honest. Like that's just really what I saw in this album. So we're gonna be honest about this one. So, what do you think? I want to go to Jeremiah first. What was your impression?
I don't know, man. It wasn't bad. I think Lil Baby is I think he's one of the rising stars of his era of hip hop. Like he could, I think out of, from the 90s, 2000s, and then like even the 2010s, they always had a big three.
Yeah.
I feel like he's the number one in this 2020 era. He's in their big three. And I think it just, some of the stuff just kind of sounded the same to me, a little of the production. But then he had different things that he did that I liked. But I think overall, what I'm understanding about him more and more is that like he has I know sometimes the music don't sound like it, but sometimes I feel like he has a conscience. Like he has, it's something about him that's a little bit different than everybody else. Like I saw an interview, I think he was doing it with Angie Martinez, and he was like, I may not be rapping 5 years from now. Like he's like, it's something different about him that's a little bit different than everybody else. You know what I'm saying? So I think overall, of course, I wouldn't tell people to go check it out because it's very the same, violent, kind of disrespecting women. Mm-hmm. But overall, as a person, I could see something different about him that's a little bit different than. And I think you're on the same wavelength I'm on. The purpose of dissect is not just dissecting the lyrics, but just dissecting the whole person like that put it out. And my wife told me about a documentary he was in that's on Prime, and I watched that, and it's a good look at his life. He grew up in Atlanta, sold drugs. He was known as a drug dealer and a gambler. Like that's kind of what's interesting about him, I've noticed now that I saw his documentary, everything he says is really like, he's just saying what happened. Yeah. Like he really is just talking, because like listening to this album, everything he said in that documentary, he just basically reset it in this album. But yeah, sold drugs. He was friends with Young Thug and people like that, and he ended up going to jail. And Young Thug was really like, man, you gotta stay away from this. He even said that he used to pay him not to sell drugs. Like how much would you sell today? 20,000? I'll give it to you. Yeah. And like he would pay him to stay out of trouble because he was like, this is a star. Wow. Like he could just see it in this kid. Wow. And you can see it too. He's very quiet. Yeah. Like I like his personality. He's very quiet. I wouldn't say humble. I think he thinks he's humble, but he's more humble than the average rapper. But he's still, like money, phone and all that. But you know what I'm saying? Yeah. But you could tell that he's definitely not what you would expect to see as a rapper. Yeah. But yeah, so the QC, you signed a QC. Yeah. They basically, he was Marlo, I think he was his friend that died. Marlo was teaching Lil Baby how to rap. Oh wow. And they really wanted Lil Baby because they saw that star power in him as well. But to get him, they basically signed both of them. Oh, you see what I'm saying? Wow. To get them, they signed both of them. You could tell they really didn't want the other one. And I think he passed away though.
He did. Yeah, he got killed recently. Wow. So yeah, just to see him like in the studio showing him how to do bars and all that kind of stuff, and then his friend ends up dying. Because he was an artist, but he didn't make it as big as Lil Baby, so he was still kind of halfway dealing and halfway doing music. But yeah, just to see like his friends knew he was going to be special, and they forced him like, dude, there's a better way. Yeah. We have a legal way to do the same thing now. Yeah. Do rap. And he literally didn't know how to rap, and every year you could see he got better and better. As far as his talent, you can hear there's talent. Like you could hear his talent, right? He definitely has that southern drawl that a lot of people may not be able to understand. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But out of the options of what's available, you could tell his skill level has grown to the point where I was hearing like Wayne flows on here. I was hearing that level of ability coming out of this kid. It's just his style is something that's not really for me. You know, that's kind of thing.
To think about it from a standpoint, he's done records with the creme de la creme of the 2010s.
Yeah.
And still and held his own.
He did, yeah. And so it's really a thing of if you understand what he's saying. I think that's a big challenge for people who are not from the South. If you understand what he's saying, he is the most on beat, the most introspective person that of the options you have. You know, that's kind of how I'm couching it. So there's definitely talent there, and this album sounded good. But again, it's nothing as insidious as what we heard on Kendrick Lamar, where I got to break down, oh, this really means this and this really means. You're just saying what it is. Like, I want girls, don't test me, or you the blicky blick. You know what I'm saying? It's that kind of content, but he also peppers in, like, you know, things that he's learned along the way. And you know, he basically said in the documentary he wants to, you know, build a legacy and go beyond rap and all that kind of stuff. So I would say it's obvious to me he's very intelligent. It's obvious to me that he has a lot of skill. That love that his friends have for him, I feel like if they came from a position of there's even better way than rap. You know what I'm saying? Like if they injected God into his life at that point, where he mentions God, you know, I don't know what his level of understanding is. He obviously was on the Donna thing, and he kind of did a kind of Christian rap verse a little bit, but
and that song with Kirk.
So it's like, okay, over and over. So I don't know where his mind is with that.
He was. I saw a video of him in a church, and the pastor was praying over him, and the pastor was like, "Yo, he's one of the #1 hip hop artists out right now." And so I think he has the concept of God. And what in church. You know what I'm saying? But I think it's almost like a Southern thing. You get growing up.
You can tell he's respectful of it. He's respectful of it, but I don't know how much like it's like been presented to you as like this needs to be primary in your life, not just a part of your life. You know what I mean?
And I think he's been a shock. He shocked me with that. Remember that song they were playing on the radio once George Floyd died? He had a song called Bigger Picture.
That was one of his best lyrical verses too.
Word? Like it shocked me because you always put him in the same category as Durk,
the mumble rapper,
Baby and everybody, the Baby and everybody else. But when I heard that, I was like, okay, this kid has a conscience, and what he was saying was truth on it too. It wasn't like just like he wasn't 100% biased. He was throwing in little lines like not all cops are bad, and not all white people are racist. It was like, oh, he's not just jumping on a wave. Like he's actually just saying what he thinks. And so that was different from anybody that come from his background. Like you would think, like you wouldn't hear like a Tupac-ish type record from somebody that's really talking street. You know what I mean? And that was something different. When I heard that, I was like, okay, he's a little different than everybody else. You know what I mean? And I think, and like I said, I think his ability of rapping and him being understandable, because I understand what he's saying. It's not hard to understand what he's saying.
It's a little bit hard.
For you?
It's a little bit. I'm not from Atlanta. But it's not his accent. It's I don't know if it's an effect. He kind of talks like this too, but it's just the drawl. It's kind of a muffly drawl that's on top of the sound. That makes it a little bit hard to be like, what exactly are you saying?
A lot of the young kids talk that way now. Right. And when we were really, when the South was really being put on the map, people were sounding more like Sean Paul from Youngbloods, T.I. Right now, it sounds completely different.
But some of the people who do quote unquote mumble rap always remind me of like late Wayne Carter 3 Wayne, and how he was rapping and how he
that's what you can hear. You can hear a little bit of that in almost all of them, but I heard a little bit in even this where it's like, it's not copying, but you could tell that Wayne is what's keeping them lyrical at all. You know what I mean? Like if it wasn't for Wayne, I don't think they would care a dime about staying on beat or anything at all. You know,
he the GOAT.
Exactly. Like he was able to show them that you could be as good as the New York guys and do it this way, do it a different way.
And then also I just saw him recently, Lil Baby, doing a flex freestyle. You know what I'm saying? So and that's just something where that's even becoming more of a staple now. Is like when you release something, instead of just talking to Formaster Flex, you go rap and do freestyle. And I mean, he was doing his thing, so it wasn't like it's like, you know, I mean, not like a fall off anything, but it's just one of those things where I'm like, I think we have that discussion about kids growing up in church. Yeah, and he's one of those kids that grew up in church. You
think so? Did he say that? Okay.
And the reason I say I think so is because the way the pastor was praying over him was like, I know this kid before he became Lil Baby. Right. You know what I'm saying? So he knows something. You know what I mean? And maybe it's him being in the right place with the right people around him or something, or you know what I mean?
So I can't wait to hear Ryan's opinion. But one thing I wanted to say first was, watching his story, it's very, very clear that resources are needed, right? Because his life completely changed when he started doing well with rap, to where it brings you out of the option to even want to still be doing stuff that could get you in trouble, right? Yeah. So the resources are needed, but where I think he's gotten now is to where you're good, but now you're the love of money is pushing you past just being good. Yeah. You know what I mean? That's where I think the danger comes in, where it's like these kids need hope. You need to know that there's a better way and it's actually possible and it can actually get you out. But the example they've been given is either sell drugs and become rich, or be a rapper, become rich, athlete, become rich. Rich is always the goal, and not just like real wealth, real it's just the flash. The flash is a little bit too extra, to where it's like, I love this money. I love these jewels. And I think if you could cut that piece of it off, it's a perfect story. Yeah. But it just goes a little bit too far. And now if I'm a kid and I see that, now I'm like, okay, now I got to get the this and the that. Yeah. And I'm going to get it however I can get it, when that's not the real answer. Yeah. It's not really what you need. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but I think that's the dangle that the enemy plays for kids that grow up in the hood of, you know, especially young black men, of, hey, you know, you have no other way. You know what I mean? There's no other way out but entertainment, quote unquote, because basketball and athletics is still entertainment to a certain extent.
But it's not even the path. I'm talking about the destination. That's not even the destination. Holding up the like, that's not the destination. That's not where we're trying to go.
No, but I think that's the thing that's appealing, because you're getting money. Think about it. If your mother, if you come from a single mother household and she's struggling and she got, you know, it's really a bad situation, and you like, man, I have to make a decision to go sell drugs because my mama lights about to get cut off, and a 2-week job ain't gonna get her lights cut on immediately. Yeah. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's not the path I'm talking about. Yeah. I'm saying that what you're selling as the solution is, you go past being good and helping others, you go all the way to showing off.
Yeah.
But I think that's what I'm saying. Showing off is almost like, if I did it, then you can too. You know what I'm saying? And that's what I'm feeling that
Sean is saying. I don't want you to get that.
Yeah.
I don't want you to show off like that. I don't want that to be the end goal for you. Yeah. The end goal for you is to have the wealth so you can help other people with it. It's not to throw it in the air and brag about it and put on a fancy watch, and that's not the goal.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No, man, I understand what you're saying. I'm saying for people watching,
it's attractive.
It's attractive. Yeah, and that's like, well, you know, or you hear young boys talking to you, man, you know, Baby, he threw like 50 bands at the club. You know what I'm saying? And that's something like, yo, I want to one day throw 50 bands at the club. You know what I'm saying?
And Sean is saying
I'm serious.
Yeah. Sean is saying they make it look cool. I'm telling you, it's not. Don't do that. Yeah. That's stupid.
Yeah.
It is.
That's stupid. So what do you think? I can't wait.
So the interesting thing about it was, you know, it's the tracks they seem like they're braggadocious, right? The only thing that concerns me about today's music and everything is that, you know, social media has a big part to play in this. Talking about the lifestyle and showing the lifestyle, they create havoc. And I think that's one of the things that scares me the most about social media. And that's why I stay off of it as much as I can. I try not to, you know, my pastor always says, don't compare, don't compete, and don't complain. And when you think about those things, and when you could be going through any type of day, any type of mood, those 3 things can get you caught up, right? And get you off focus for what you're doing with God. And so I try not to let those things be an influence for me. And so the same thing happens in music and hip hop. And, you know, I got a lot of that from this project where you're listening to it and you're like, okay, you're right. He's trying to tell everybody to go out and get this. The bad part about it and the scary part about it is people in their mind, they make up their own way of how to get to that, right? So not just selling drugs, you know, it could be selling your body, it could be trafficking some person or anything. It's just so many different ways to make money now. It's scary the way people will go about it, you know. Jeremiah was showing me something really crazy. It's like every time you think you see something crazy, something crazier comes out. And you're like, wow, like who would have thought about that? You know, Jeremiah showed me some earlier article and I was like, that's crazy, that's insane. Like, why would somebody do that? And so it's the same thing with these projects and these artists. And, you know, he is vibey. The one question I do have is I don't know a lot about his history, but who was his cosign? Did he get a cosign early on?
I mean, Young Thug is a big cosign. Drake.
Okay.
Drake jumped on a couple of things.
Okay. So I really started. I hadn't really paid him any attention. I paid his name attention. I remember us talking with Beehive from Beehive TV about how he passed on an interview with him because he didn't know who he was. He was like, you know, I could have had an interview with.
No, I don't think it was him. I think he actually interviewed Lil Baby. It was
I thought
somebody
he said
else.
It was Megan Thee Stallion and Lil Baby.
He passed on Megan, but I think he actually said he did interview Lil Baby.
Okay, I thought he said he had passed on him.
I don't think so.
I thought he said, like, you know, when he said the email came across his desk, he was like, well, who was a Lil Baby?
I think you're thinking of somebody else, but keep going.
Okay, anyway. So, you know, you have these opportunities with these artists, and it's interesting just the fact that, you know, they come from Atlanta, or he comes from Atlanta, and you wonder how people view Atlanta music. Is it still, you know, where we thought it was back in the day when, you know, the So Def movement and things like that. Now that we have this mumble rap, it seems like it's getting by, but I don't know how long it's gonna.
Getting by? Are you crazy? Do you know how well these kids are doing?
I know they're doing well, and again, that has to do with social media and all the different ways you can market yourself now, and just the fact that people are pretty much. I mean, we can, like we've talked about this before. You can make somebody big. You know what I mean? Like, you can put the money behind them, you can put the marketing behind them, and you can make people want to buy their music, make people feel like I'm being left out if I don't listen to this artist, if I don't go support this artist, if I don't go to this concert, if I don't get this ticket, I'm missing out, right? So that's what scares me about, you know, the music of today. Do you choose it? Because I was looking at this poll that Crispy put up. 70% of the people on our live right now said they don't like them. Right,
yeah, but we're a specific demo that wouldn't like him, right?
We are, but also I feel like we have enough artists that in our genre that make similar music to where we can see, like, okay, so is the mumble rap a problem, or is it the content that's the problem? Is it you don't like the artist, you know, the artist vibe, or is it that you just don't like that vibe, period? You know, so there's different things that make me wonder about the success of these artists.
I would guess that our audience has two problems. They don't like the vibe and they don't like the content.
Yeah.
So it's not a good test audience for that question, I think.
Yeah. There's I don't know. I don't know. Maybe I'm just set in my natural ways, but yeah, I guess so. But there are artists like that are vibey out there that I do like.
Like?
I mean, it's in the CHH round.
Okay.
You know, it's in the CHH round. But that's because that's all I listen to. I don't listen to, what we call it, Jeremiah? That's secular garbage? I don't listen to that. I don't listen to that because I don't know where to find it. My day is spent doing Trackstar stuff and doing Nectar stuff, and, you know, right now we're in the fantasy football situation, so all that kind of stuff. But I'm more so, when I'm on social media, I'm researching, you know. When I'm on YouTube, I'm researching. When I'm going through social media like a Facebook platform or a Twitter platform, it's because I'm looking for specific content. I usually get on Twitter on Thursdays or on Wednesdays when we have our call early on, so I can be like, okay, let me be prepared for the call. So when the producers start asking about what are we going to talk about this week, this was interesting, this was trending, that sort of thing. So for me, it's like social media is a one-day thing for me. So I'm not finding this music, and then, you know, when you hear stuff in the mall or you hear stuff in cars at the gas station, you don't even know who they're listening to. So it's just like it all sounds the same.
I love figuring out why things work.
Yeah,
even if it's not my kind of music or whatever, I still love, and I can always see the talent in the midst of it. Whether is it talent or is it a gimmick? And with him, it's talent. Like, this kid is good. Is the whole mumble thing? Where is that coming from? How did that work? I mean, there's a whole story about that. But I love figuring out why it works. So even if this is our natural bag, I could still say, man, this kid, from where he came from, he's doing really well, and he has enough talent that I think this same kid in the 2010s, 2000s, 90s, he would have figured out how to do whatever he needed to sound like to get to y'all.
Yeah, that's interesting.
I think it worked because it's just representation. You know, like it represents a certain group of people. And it's like, yeah, you know, we're going to support it because I can see myself in it.
Yeah.
And, you know, just even speaking on what you were saying about, like, why do they, you know, choose to do that? I hate it too, you know, but, you know, the Bible said my people perish because of the lack of knowledge. We are under the understanding that there is another way. You know, we have the revelation of the Holy Spirit. It's literally like God has took the scales off our eyes to where we know that money is not to be worshiped. We don't even desire to worship that. But to them, they still literally in darkness. You don't have that understanding of, like, you know, oh, I can do something else with my money outside of just throwing it. You know, I find value in throwing the money because that's what I've seen. That's what I know.
Right.
But, you know, when you come on this side, it's like, oh, let me invest in it. You know, I don't just want to throw my money. I don't just want to flex with my money. There's no value in that. So it's really just knowledge and community.
Do people value fortune or fame? One over the other? Because to me, it feels like fame is what gets people more going than the actual money. Like, you can get bored with the money.
Because you can fake like you got money.
Yeah.
Nobody checking your bank account.
Yeah.
I don't think Lil Baby wanted the fame.
Yeah, I agree.
I think he got pushed into the fame.
So that's fine, but I'm talking about, like, as far as, okay, so if you're throwing up bands in a club, right? Is it because you want people to go back and TikTok and Instagram and reel
the message
that you're doing this?
The message you're sending is, I don't even need this. Y'all begging for this, and I don't even need it.
Right, but see, that's the part that throws me, because, I mean, you get it and you're bored with it and you don't know what to do with it.
That's part of the marketing. That's part of right? The reason you're doing that is so you get more. Because if you have this attitude of, I don't even need this, the more people think, oh wow, you're special, and they give you more of their money. That's how it works. This is an investment.
It's just showing off, really.
You're just showing off.
I just know when you hear these stories about, like, I mean, even think about Kanye, the documentary genius, right? How he talked about going city to city, sleeping in cars, sleeping on folks' floors. And it's like you get to that point where you get that money, and to me it feels like you would know the best way to handle that, because you came from something where you saw your mom as a single mom working, trying to, you know, struggling to make ends meet, trying to give you what you want. So to me, it just feels crazy that you would get to the point where you would take that for granted. But I mean, that's just, like you said, scales off your eyes, and you know the value of investing and making money work for not just you, but the people that are around you and the people that are going to come behind you. So to me, it feels like more people are more vested in the fame than they are the fortune.
And some of them are investing. Like, I know Lil Baby got, I think it's like a school, or not a school, but like something in the school that he grew up in. Like, you know, some of them, they do give back.
Yeah.
But they just like, I'm going to get it back. Like, if I throw these bands, I'm going to get it back.
They'll
like,
get more back.
Yeah, they going to get more back. So they just like, oh, because it's pride, it's ego. It's like, oh yeah, like some of them be giving to the homeless, and you know what I'm saying? But they still want to flash. They still want to.
But it's a game. It's not even, sometimes it's not even your pride. You're activating their pride. See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They're seeing you like.
We're not really talking about when you're talking about throwing up, like throwing money up. We're not really saying in depth what that means, but.
What you mean? What do you want to say about it?
No, I'm just saying it's something else too. It's not just like I'm just throwing money to regular people. It's like I'm throwing money on women. You know what I'm saying?
It's both.
Yeah.
It's usually it could be any.
Because sometimes it's in a club.
Yeah.
And like not like that club, but just like a regular club.
Yeah, too. Yeah.
But the point is I'm activating the other people's pride because look at what I can do. Look how much I don't need this. I could throw this off the side of a boat and it don't matter to me. That's activating the pride in the listener. Be like, oh, I want to do that. I want to be able to have so much money where I could just throw it around. Like that's a formula that works.
And it's so dangerous. It's so dangerous.
Yeah, spiritually, the Bible talk about this mammon and greed as being sin and all that too. So that's the spiritual aspect.
Unfortunately, you know why? And we're going real deep now. A lot of the frustration we've had, because from the beginning, our whole goal was like, how do we get Christian hip hop going? How do we get Christian content in the mainstream?
Yep.
The problem is you're at a disadvantage when you're not able to tap into pride, lust,
because that's what's selling. Sex.
It's an easy sell. You slap pride on top of something, that joint sell like hotcakes. Lust, that's easy sell, right?
Yeah.
But when you can't tap into those easy triggers, how do you get people? You're really only thing you have that you're counting on being more powerful. That's what we believe. Is the Holy Spirit activating something in their heart that tells them, oh, this is even more powerful. This is even more potent than what the world says is potent. Sometimes it just don't feel like it's doing that. Yeah. And that's the frustrating part. But
because it's always going to be bigger.
We believe, right? Do we not believe this? That the Holy Spirit has more power to get their hearts than drugs, money, fame, all that kind of stuff, right?
Absolutely.
But I think at the same time, sometimes that happens when people are at the end of the ritz of all that stuff.
It takes them a while to get to it.
If they don't die.
Now, that, but then also to a point of like, unless somebody comes to them and really saying like, you throwing that money away, but it's something in you that I feel it's something in you that you want more in life that's even more than what you got that you can't even buy, and I got what you need. And when somebody reveals that to them and they be like, yo, so what do I need?
The problem, I think we're getting close to something even more important than this album. The problem is that usually when that breakthrough comes for somebody, it floods into their heart and they know that you're telling the truth.
Yeah.
Up until that moment, you sound like a hater. You sound like you just trying to judge me. You sound like the worst person in the world until they realize it.
Yeah.
When that hits their heart and they realize, oh, wow, Holy Spirit gets in, then it is like, oh, snap, this is way better than all the stuff I was chasing.
Yeah.
It's hard to convince somebody of that right off the bat, though.
Yeah.
Because you got to let God do it.
Yeah.
It's like, if I be lifted up, I will draw all men unto me. Like, I'm not saving nobody. I can't even save myself. And we also have to be aware, like, secular music is always going to be on top. Like, Christian rap is not going to be as big as secular music because sin rules the world. Like, that's just how it is. It's going to be more people in hell than people in heaven. This is just reality of life. You know, so I'm not trying to make music to make it into the mainstream or to make it into the secular world. I don't care about that. I want to make music to impact the people that God has called me to reach. And if that happens to reach over to secular, amen. But that's not my goal. You know what I'm saying? I know it takes a lot to follow Christ. You have to forsake all. And me expecting you to do that is like, for everybody, it's not realistic. You know? So it's like, okay, yeah, I'm going to do what I need to do in my music, but if it doesn't reach over, if I don't get a collab with Nicki, if I don't get a collab with Meg or whoever, like that, it is what it is. That's just how the world is.
How much of this are Christians responsible for keeping it going? Because Christians are listening to mainstream music and supporting it and going to concerts and seeing these artists. So are we the double standard here? Are we the ones that are making it okay because somebody can witness to their friend and be like, yo, you need to listen to this, but then y'all were just riding in the car turning up to Lil Baby, the Baby, everybody. So it's like
all the babies.
Yeah, all the babies.
All them babies.
So is that, are we going to address that, or are we fixing that, or are we letting that go?
I think it just depends. Like you don't want something to ruin your witness.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But you also have to define, like, what would you consider being a Christian? What would you consider, you know, is it a person that just believes Christ, or, you know what I'm saying? Because a lot of people say they're Christian, they don't mean they're living right.
Right.
You know, so it's like, I'm saying I'm a Christian. I was a Christian before Christ. Yeah. You know, I thought I was. I'm like, oh, I'm a Christian, but I'm living like the devil. You know, so it really comes back to just like knowledge. It's some stuff I don't even desire to listen to because I have the Holy Spirit. Right. You know, it's not that I don't wanna. It's like I don't even have the desire. It's not like, oh, I'm abstaining, I can't listen. No, I don't want to hear about twerking. I don't want to hear about sex. It irritates my spirit. You know, so it just depends on what you would consider as, you know, somebody that's a believer, that's setting a standard, or like people who just say that they Christian. And then we can get in, it can go even further, even with secular music. You know, what would you consider being secular? Just because it's not uplifting God, you know, it means that it's secular, but it can be a Barney song. That's a secular song. Yeah. It's just not, you know, secular music is just anything that's not about God. So we can consider all of these songs secular, even stuff that's like encouraging, you would consider it secular if it's not glorifying God. Yeah. You know, so that's just a whole nother breakdown. But yeah, I feel like our lives, our fruit is what is going to make the difference. Our fruit in our personal life, not what we listening to. Like what we listen to will affect our fruit, but our fruit is what's going to change people. It's what's going to help people to see the light of Christ. Yep. And that is what we need to be more intentional about.
Right.
That's great. That's great.
That's true.
Good job, Portia. All right, let's get back into it. You in the field with the Trackstarz, Ryan Wright to SEANTANA, DJ Jeremiah. Let's go.
Hey guys, Miracle here. Thank you so much for watching that episode. Make sure you go below, like it, subscribe, click the bell, and make sure you follow us on all forms of our social media. Also, check out our website and be sure you spread the word. We'll see you next time.
We know not what we doing. Screw that, they know, let them have it, do it. Okay, I'm erratic, prove it. Never mind, got a mind that'll wind up with me in the lineup behind bars with these bars. Okay, my time's up.
Team Freedom. Yeah. We not through yet. All right. Trackstarz Music presents.
Turn my volume up. Turn me off.